So my last video, I was talking about the 10 best helicopter maps that work very well. And in this one, I'm going to cover 10 of the worst helicopter maps that I have found. And whether it's early rushing or mid-game to end game gameplay, it doesn't really change much. And these maps have very particular issues, something that makes it very difficult to play. Even if you have a fully researched helicopter, it makes your life miserable just because it's so easy to counter you. So let me go through them all. Abandoned Factory. One of the worst helicopter maps. As soon as you lift off from the helipad, you are immediately locked by radars, SPA systems, and it's very hard to track the targets on the ground. Terrible. RLC. Awful helicopter map. One reason is that this map is entirely flat, so there's no mountains, there's no buildings to hide behind. Whether you're on the blue side team or the red side team, you're pretty much on the same boat. You can easily see the battlefield if you go high, but as soon as an anti-air system spawns in, you've got nowhere to go. You're basically a sitting duck. Very, very difficult to play. The only time it would ever work is if you have fire and forget missiles, something you can fire off quickly and then go into hiding right away, so that the missile can do its job. If you have a helicopter anywhere below that, something that requires tracking, it's never gonna work. Terrible map. Ardennes. Another terrible map for helicopters because it is full of the forest and the map is fairly flat. It does have a couple of hills, but nothing that you can really use for yourself. If you are in danger and you're trying to hide away, you can go pretty low and find a safe spot in a couple of areas, such as this one right here with the valley with the water. But other than that, if you're trying to do anything on the battlefield, you're very exposed, very easy to destroy, and even very difficult to spot anything on the ground just because there's a lot of trees, a lot of bushes, things that tanks can hide behind. Very difficult map. Fire Arc, also known as Kursk. Previously, very, very terrible helicopter map, either red side or blue side, it doesn't matter. The field is really open. Any SPA that spawns in can see you a mile away. You have nowhere to hide, and you're basically just an easy target for anybody to pick off versus the other way around. So very difficult to play. As soon as an SPA system spawns in, anything with the radar, very hard. Flanders. This is a map that's notoriously difficult for me to have any decent games. If you try to stay low as a helicopter, it doesn't matter whether you're on the red side team or the blue side team. There's a lot of trees, there's a lot of hidden areas, very hard to pick off a target on the ground, and very easy to be spotted by a radar system or a SAM. Very difficult unless you go really high, which of course exposes you, but it's the most effective way of playing on this map. Very difficult map. Maginot Line. Very difficult map, notoriously. I would say this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst map for helicopter play, because it is a flat map and nowhere to hide. You have to stay really, really low, and even then, you may not even be able to survive any missile coming your way. And if there is an SPA system, anything with a radar that's spawned on the ground, you're going to have a difficult time keeping your face or keeping your head above water, so to speak. Very difficult map to play as a helicopter. Poland. If Maginot Line is bad, this is not any better. Has the same issue. Very flat, nowhere to hide. You have to stay very, very, very low to the ground to be able to avoid any missiles coming your way. But even then, it's a gamble. You're more than likely going to get hit and be destroyed. If there is any SPA system on the ground with a radar, you are fighting for your life. Very difficult to even track targets on the ground. especially around A and B side. They're all hiding behind buildings, and C side is open, but then you're facing two spawns with two SPA systems possibly fighting with you. So as soon as somebody brings in an AA system, you are gonna have a difficult time. Seversk 13, one of the worst maps for ground, one of my least favorite maps in the game, but as a helicopter, it's not any better. Whether you're on the blue side team or the red side team, very hard to do much. The area is very flat. There's a couple of mountains to the side, but you're too far from the battlefield to really do anything unless you're spawn camping and tracking some targets that are coming freshly on the into battle. If there is an SPA system with a radar, again, you're going to be basically hiding the entire game. Very difficult. Spaceport. Really terrible map as well. No matter which side you're on, you're basically hiding behind a mountain and everybody can see you. And the SPA systems can hide very quickly. So even if you do decide to have a duel, if you're going to try to take out the SPA system and spawn, you're going to have difficult time trying to track it down. And then even if you win that battle, it's very difficult to find the target on the ground and have enough time to hit them directly unless you go really high, which of course is always a risk. But very, very hard to have good games on this map. And of course we have surroundings of Volokholamsk, a notoriously terrible map. I don't think I've ever had a really good good game on this map, simply because it is completely flat. Any SPA sees you right up front, you have nowhere to hide, and even if you try to go down to avoid a missile, you risk killing yourself simply by hitting a tree, just because there's no clear spaces around you that you can use for your own advantage. Hard to track targets on the ground, not enough time to hit them. You always get spawned, SPA system from spawn tracking you down, pretty much anything, whenever you're doing anything. So really, really bad map, and if not one of the worst, then the worst of all the maps. So these are my worst 10 worst maps for helicopter plays. Let me know if you agree with that, or if you have your own list of even worse maps. Let me see that in the comments. I would like to say that pretty much any map can be overcome, whatever the disadvantages it has. If you go early rushing, for example, it really doesn't matter what map you're on. If somebody spawns in an SPA system, obviously you're dead. Nothing you can do. But in the early games, it's very rare to see somebody bringing in an SPA. So you have more chances of actually hitting some tanks, some light vehicles. So that kind of gameplay can overcome some of these bad designs, but general helicopter play where you try to stay alive as long as possible, if you're trying to hit as many targets as you can and stay alive till the end of the game, these are the maps that are the worst that I discussed today. But let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.